Story 1. I'm Luke. I was working the graveyard shift. Just me and that humming fryer. In the back storage area behind the Burger King kitchen. The place felt cramped, like the walls were pressing in. I wasn't supposed to be in storage, but I needed space to think, to sort orders, my head spinning from the 4th late-night shift in a row. I know this sounds crazy, but I found a smear of dark red, not ketchup, up on a shelf where we kept the potato boxes, just above my head. I almost wiped it off instinctively, because late-night sweat looks weird under fluorescent light, right? But then I thought, no, that's too dark. Evie, I'm remembering it wrong, but it looked like blood. And the smell, iron, sharp, under there. That's not supposed to be there, in a fast food joint, in your storage for spuds. I climbed up to check. My heart was welding into my throat. I forced the boxes aside and found a finger. Not just a finger, but part of a hand, severed clean, but with ragged bits, like life got ripped suddenly. It was resting on a torn pack of frozen fries. I know that sounds insane. I wasn't thinking. But I swear my vision narrowed, like I was stuck in this slow-motion spotlight. I almost dropped it, but I didn't. I just stared, blood trickling off the tip, pooling on the tile floor below, mixing with spilled ketchup packets in a sticky puddle. I looked back, and there was a stain on the wall, vertical, as if someone dragged themselves up. Drag marks, thin scrapes, fingers maybe clawing for something. My breath felt thick in my mouth, like I swallowed glue. Maybe I'm remembering it wrong, but I heard a whisper then. Not a voice, more like the fryer clicking over behind me, but softer, like syllables stitched into static. I turned, and the storage door was shut. Not locked, but clicking just the same. And I was alone. Or I thought I was. I tried to move. I couldn't. My brain drove me. Adrenaline shoved me forward. I dropped the finger, that finger, and ran out. My shoes splashed in hot, ketchup blood ooze. I made it back into the kitchen, lights too bright. Staff just finishing orders like always. I heard the drive-through intercom crackle. Cole making it right. The sentence cut off. It wasn't telling me anything. They were cleaning ice cream machines up front. The fryers steamed. The staff didn't notice the stain on my jacket. I stumbled into the bathroom. 7 tiles missing from the bottom row, exposing rust and concrete. I locked the stall. Crouched, head between knees. My phone slid out. Hands slick, red. I thumbed 911, voice shaking, telling them, "There's human hand in storage." Words broke apart. They said they'd send someone. Just stay safe and calm. I tried to calm, but the tile floor. I looked down. My shoes were gone. In the puddle, I slipped, fell over, felt that ragged stretch across my back. When I stood, I looked in the mirror. My reflection flickered with weird shadows under eyes that hadn't slept. I touched my hair. It was matted near my scalp, and my reflection blinked before I did. Something tapped the door, quiet, insistent. I said I was fine, just hurt, needed help. Nothing. I unlocked, stepped out. No noises. The kitchen staff were gone. The lights were off in the main area. Only the emergency exit sign glowed. I backed into the mop closet by the door. I found the phone line, disconnected it at the wall, just in case. Then I got brave, or stupid, I don't know. I cracked the door. Nothing. Just the parking lot beyond the glass, empty. No police lights, no cars. The storage door at the back stood open just enough that red stained the edge of the frame. I remembered the finger, the drag marks. My heart pounded. I thought maybe I could hide by the dumpsters and get away later. I crawled out. The concrete was cold. I crawled fast, wet, hearing my shirt stick to my chest. I looked back through the glass, one of the ice cream machine panels. The lights flickered and something slipped behind it. Not a person, a shadow curved wrong. I pulled myself over the curb and staggered into the parking lot. Dawn was leaking in at the horizon. Cop cars arrived. I didn't wait. I staggered down the street, bloodstick trail risky and half faint. I didn't look back. They probably think it was an accident. Food contamination gone wrong. But I know what I saw. That finger. Storage. Slashed. Flesh where only cardboard and potatoes should be. They never found anything. No prints except mine. Nothing stains. No cameras caught anything. Employees say storage was locked and empty before the shift. The supply delivery guy swears he left nothing behind except boxes. The police said there was no proof I wasn't hallucinating from fatigue. But I know the smell of iron under fluorescent kitchen lights. I remember the drag marks on the wall, the way the finger lay. I remember that whisper inside the hum of the fryer. Night after night, I get wake-ups, ketchup-stained dreams. I still can't eat potatoes. I quit that shift. But sometimes, in the back of my mind, when I hear the fryer click off, I see that storage door sliding open, and I think something is standing there. And I'm not crazy enough to go back. Story 2. I'm Mike. I was closing the drive-thru solo that night. Usual late-night lull when the world outside slows. That Burger King oven behind me was still warm, hissed in a rhythm that didn't match the clock, like it was clicking Morse at me. I remember checking the time, 2:13 a.m., except I swear it flicked to 2:12. Maybe I'm remembering it wrong, but the digits reversed. I mean, you know those nights. The speaker mic crackles like it's breathing. I was bagging fries when I saw something. Well, no, not saw exactly. I felt it, like someone standing behind me. But when I looked behind the counter, no one. The window to the dining room showed empty booths. I blinked. Huh. Then the order came through clear. Extra value meal, large, but don't give it to me. No voice, just the text scrolling. And for some reason I say aloud, "Don't give it to me?" But I pressed confirm anyway. Something about that felt wrong. Like pressing it would seal this whole night into memory. Because when I looked up, the door behind me swung shut. Just closed. I didn't lock it. I know this sounds crazy, but the lights above dimmed, then brightened, like someone flicked a switch, only sideways. I looked into the dining room glass, motionless. Except, the reflection behind me. Not mine exactly, just warped, pale. I jerked around, but nothing was there. I bagged the food and set it by the window hatch. Fumbled for the mic. Said, "Extra value meal." Waited. No response. The hatch clicked, swung open on its own. That's a lie, but it did open. I should have closed it. The food sat there. Then a smear of something, sloppy, ran across the counter's edge. Red. Real red. Not ketchup. I leaned close, breathing it in. Iron smell. I don't know why I leaned. Maybe I was numb. I swiped at it with a glove. It smeared darker. My stomach turned. I shoved the bag into the hatch. Shoved it, really. Like if I pushed hard enough, the sound would drown out how my hands trembled. But the bag didn't go through. It just stayed. The hatch half open. I tugged. Nothing. The lights dimmed again, that pulsing. I said, "I know this sounds crazy, but..." No one's there. But the empty lot just sounded wrong. Too silent. I took a step forward. Slept. Footsteps. Like someone followed me. I froze. Sorry, that's forbidden. But it's the only way to explain the pressure on my chest. I stabbed the speaker again. "Customer, you okay?" No feedback. Only the fryer behind me rattled like teeth chattering. I backed away. Tripped on a mop bucket. It squeaked, jarringly loud. And I heard something on the other side of the hatch knock. Soft, but deliberate. Not human. I don't know what it was, but it came again. I wanted to run, but I grabbed the door handle, yanked. Locked. Should have unlocked earlier. Now, I'm hammering it. Cold push, hopeless rusted twist. Nothing. My phone was on the register. I grabbed it. Called 911. Voice quaked. They asked, "What's wrong?" I said, "There's something not human out there." They said, "Stay safe. Help's on the way." I slammed the phone shut when the speaker crackled again. A whisper. I'm sure it whispered, but garbled. "Help," repeated backwards, or maybe forwards, but wrong. I pressed ear to speaker. "I'm here," I said. And then a hand, pale and damp, clamped my shoulder. Slimy. My body shook, but I yanked free. Spin around. Empty. I knocked over a tray. Wham! That kicked the hatch wide open. Outside, headlights appeared. Police. But inside, the floor was smeared. Not drizzle, but thick. I looked down. Red footprints. Bare. Small. Dragging toward the back door. I swallowed. It felt like glass in my throat. I stumbled, toward the storage hallway to hide, slip out, just run. But the hallway lights flickered, and I saw it looked like me at the end of the hall, but off, limbs too long, color pale. I blinked. Gone. Sirens in the distance, but building hum drowned it. I yanked myself into the freezer. Cold cut me with snap. Inside, boxes piled. I backed into the corner as deep as I could. Hunched, I cried. Not proud, but yeah, just sobs echoing off steel. Then the door cracked open. Steam from inside met freezer cold. My tears fogged my glasses. I in that shape dripped inside. Shuffled. I didn't scream, just coughed. Something leaned in. Breath. Rotting, but breath. I pushed with numb strength. Harder. And something gave. I tumbled out. Lights fully on then. Managers, police rushing in. I stumbled out, hands dripping red. They grabbed me, asked questions. I babbled. Saw in the drive-through camera footage, dusty, nothing background, just me. Doors locked, cameras black. The freezer sensor offline. And the biggest weird. No blood cleaned, no fingerprints, but my shoes, my gloves, all red. Not me, right? Now I'm home, lights off. Every time I think of that night, I hear that hiss from the fryer. The slurp of red across plastic tray, the door just closing. And I keep thinking, maybe I'm remembering it wrong. Maybe none of it happened. But I know what I felt, like I wasn't alone. 911 never found a body. No cameras, no prints, just my statement. My stained gloves, and shadow trails that looked thinner than mine. They say maybe exhaustion or break-in, but I say, door should have been open. So here I am, alive, but waiting. Story 3. I'm Josh. I was closing alone in the dining area of that Burger King out by the freeway. Countless greasy napkins blistering in the yellow-lit bins, the place echoing with every plink of the ice machine. I sat there folding wrappers when I noticed something weird. On the drop-off shelf, where customers grabbed trays, there was a dark stain. Not grease, not ketchup. Something rich and strange under those lights, like a bruise on plastic. Maybe I'm remembering it wrong, but the night felt off from the start. I'd rearranged chairs into perfect rows, but they sounded too loud, like they were complaining. Under fluorescent hum, I leaned in close to the tray shelf, sniffed. It was iron. I tugged on the stain with a tissue. It smeared, not evenly, but jagged, like a finger dragged down it. I backed off, hands shaking, heart desperate to slow, but it wouldn't. The intercom squeaked out of nowhere. Customer pickup. No order, no voice, but I heard it, clear like glass. My phone buzzed, unknown number. I stared. Nothing but digits and silence. I reached for it. Thumb, hovering. Then the sliding window clicked open. I didn't open it. The tray was already gone. Something shifted inside me. I stood, wiped a trembling hand on my jeans. That stain gnawed me. Too dark, too real. I followed it backwards, each drip faint at first, then thicker, leading past the counter into the kitchen's edge. I told myself I should stop, but curiosity or something dragged me forward. Behind the fryer, it stopped, a perfect drip, like punctuation. I followed with my eyes to the reach-in cooler door, half ajar. I don't know why I opened it. I just did. Inside, the metal racks were empty, except for one tray. My uniform shirt, folded neatly, drenched in blood. Not mine. I don't even recognize that smell. I shut the cooler fast, chest hammering, breath chopping. I heard a soft scrape behind me, like fingers dragged across tile. I twisted, but the kitchen looked empty. Flickering lights overhead mocked me with their half-on glow. I felt dizzy. I backed into the freezer, slammed it shut, hoping cold would think clarity into me. That's when I saw it. A silhouette pressed against the freezer door glass. No face, just the smudge of pale, wrong-shaped head leaning in. I wanted to run. I didn't. My phone hit the floor. I grabbed it. Called 911. Voice breaking. Said I was locked in freezer. They said help was on the way. I waited. The freezer's hum was loud in my cage. Breath frosted the glass next to that shape. It tapped. Once, soft, then again, urgent. I said, I know this sounds crazy, but get me out. Silence. Tap again. Warped reflection of me wide-eyed. I smashed my fist against glass. Crack. A line ran through the shape. Behind me, the door unlatching. I ran, not toward help, but back into the kitchen. They found me kneeling beside the fryer, covered in red and sweat, shaking. Cupboard doors open, floor slick. I babbled about the freezer person. They looked. Cooler and freezer doors both locked from inside. No signs of entry. No cameras caught movement past me. Just me, my bloodied shirt on that tray, the smear at the customer window. They called it exhaustion, maybe hallucination. No evidence of external intruder. No prints except mine. No bodies. Just that mess. My mess. Now I'm home. I keep replaying that freezer glass moment. The distortion of that face. It hangs in my mind when I blink in darkness. Sometimes I swear I hear tapping again. From inside the fridge, or behind the door, or maybe inside me. But I'll never go back to that place. I can't unsee it. And sometimes, late at night, I close my eyes and I swear someone's watching from inside the glass.